We are back, ladies and gents, to another round of Isekai anime recommendations, and this time we are diving into some overpowered Isekai anime protagonists. Isekai, as we all know, is one of the most popular genres in the industry, so you will probably never see them run out of crazy yet generic ideas. But anyways, enough with the talk, and let us get into those Isekai recommendations, shall we?
You were trying to use me, weren't you?
Kicking things off with Trapped in a Dating Simulator, a show that revolves around a dating simulator where the protagonist is transported to that exact game world as a background mob character and finds ways to achieve the spotlight despite not actually being part of the actual story at all. Now, the protagonist is indeed overpowered, combining mecha and a fantasy-like world, slightly generic animation, but still very fun to watch. Of course, he won't ever reach the height of what, let's say, Sid from, The Eminence in Shadow as a background character, but I'm telling you all, it is still highly worth checking out. Now just tell me, what could be more bizarre than using healing magic the completely wrong way after obtaining the overpowered healing magic in this isekai world? Two members of the student council were selected to be brought to another world, but meanwhile, one random guy who was just strolling with them accidentally was summoned with them. However, he was indeed blessed with healing magic, which is a very rare power in which he then was forced into training by his brutal mentor to bring the absolute best in his healing magic and use it in the craziest ways possible to rescue his teammates on the battlefield from danger.
この奥の手には強い絆を結んだ仲間が必要なんだ。ヒドラ、協力してくれるか。
それって出会って半日の私で大丈夫なの？
何言ってんだ。一緒に冒険して夢を語り合ったんだ。
What indeed could be more fun than watching an absurdly broken protagonist who is a Power Ranger go to an isekai world and destroy enemies with such ease? Yeah. Well, this anime is here for you. The Red Ranger was transported to the world and becomes an adventurer while still having his power to transform into the ultimate Red Ranger for even more power. Nothing can actually even stand in this man's way because boss monsters will simply be obliterated by his punches and cool style. But if you do like Power Rangers and isekai combined together, then this show is just for you to watch. Are you up for a relaxing time by watching an anime about farming? Well, that and also the added bonus of the main character being a farming god or lord thanks to his overpowered tool and his harem of girls?
Start from this side. Here we go. What the?
Farming life in another world is quite heavy on the slice of life for anime. Little action, mostly doing the farming stuff from planting, building, digging, and some fan service here and there. It's like that one mega deal package that you would buy, out of a store and be so happy with it. That's really what you get in this anime. A very nice package of relaxation and fun. Turn your brain off and enjoy the farming life.
Goodbye, New World! Physical attacks don't work, and my magic's useless.
Now let me know how you like the sound of that. The greatest and most powerful, overpowered alchemist in an isekai world after hoping for a peaceful life that may never be achievable. Yeah, that sounds like my type of anime to watch. A guy was transported to another world by a goddess as she offered him a choice of what powers he would like to have. Since the guy really preferred to have, a quiet, weak skill or maybe a peaceful life, he chose the boring skill of alchemy. Yet it turns out, it is the most broken skill that lets him create absolutely anything that he even wants. From a giant ship to the legendary Excalibur sword, you name it, he can craft it so easily, making him insanely strong. Reincarnated as an aristocrat with an appraisal skill. Generic, seen it all before, yep, you heard that right. But it's the same old appraisal skill that you know and probably even love, as the formula to something like this remains the exact same for a very long time.
一撃受けていたら勃剣といえど真っ二つにされていた早いあれだけ力を込めて切り込んだのにすぐに体勢を立て直してきた
Now, a main character is reincarnated into a prodigy, and with the appraisal skill that lets him see people's abilities and what they are good at. But since the government is in trouble, the boy must recruit members to get it back on its feet, using the overpowered appraisal skill to see through people, and he can pick up top-tier workers or servants to get the economy back up on its feet from its slow and steady decline.
Magic wand die. As you can see, I can kill anything with just my thoughts. Try anything and I'll kill you.
Now behold, the most overpowered protagonist, in my opinion, probably in anime history, where this show takes place in an isekai, and nothing, absolutely nothing can stand a chance against this character. My instant death ability is so overpowered. The tale of how Yogiri was held in a facility due to his insane power of killing, and then years later was living his life normally at school. Of course, that is until the class he was with was summoned into the world after a bus field trip. Watch as others, as other worlders just, they underestimate Yogiri. They so underestimate him until they ultimately meet their fate of death in an instant without ever realizing what just happened. Parallel World Pharmacy. Man, people really still don't give this anime a chance, by the way, despite it being so good for an isekai series. It could be something you've seen before of a pharmacy isekai anime, but it's not as generic as you'd expect it to be.
Where is all this water coming from, and how do I turn it off? Stop! Arate! Jeez!
Now, a doctor dies from overwork and reincarnates into a royal family of strong medicinal bloodline. The young man is now named Pharma and has an interesting power to create things that this world is incapable of, such as curing an illness that could never be cured before. Since this world only accepts nobles to buy medicine, Pharma wants to open up his very own pharmacy that can even help the poor people of this world.
Wait for me!
Underrated, badass, a knight in shining armor that slays those bad people and saves the Dark Elves from being held captive by the bad humans. Now, when a guy was simply playing his online game, he was then transported to that game world and becomes his avatar of a skeleton knight. Since he is technically, undead, people would pretty much fear him for being a monster. But that is why he hides his true identity from people while helping them. His skills are unmatched, very powerful, and even wields a big sword to swing away at enemies with satisfaction. And finally, to recommend the last anime for today's video list, Mushoku Tensei, or Jobless Reincarnation. But honestly, what is an overpowered isekai anime recommendation list without a top-tier selection like Mushoku Tensei? A shonen otaku who gets bullied at school and lives, well, a miserable life, I could say, suddenly meets his end and is reincarnated to a fantasy world as a kid named Rudis. With a family that cares for him, the ability to learn magic and grow stronger, meet his love and start his own family, and best of all, venture deep into what this world has to uncover. It's beautiful, I tell you. This isekai anime has one of the best stories I've ever seen, perfect characters, and a very solid action sequences with great animation. We have reached the ending point for the Isekai anime with an overpowered protagonist. But if you did enjoy, then please do drop a like to show your support, and subscribe to stay notified of all my latest uploads here on YouTube. Take care everyone, and I'll be seeing you all in the next one.